The recruitment of 2026 elite prospect Tyran Stokes is the most important recruitment in Louisville men's basketball program history. We'll explain why on today's episode of Locked On Louisville.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what is going on, everyone? Welcome into this Tuesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I want to take this time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, Locked On Louisville, free and available on all streaming services, 5 days a week, your team every day. Now, today's episode of the show is brought to you by FanDuel. Don't forget, now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and immediately get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Football season kickoff is just a couple days away. We're so close. But on today's episode of the show, we're dedicating it to basketball recruiting. A lot of great things to discuss. Tyran Stokes scheduling his official visit to Louisville. I'm going to justify why this recruitment is the most important recruitment in program history. It's wild to say, but let me explain. I'll do that here shortly. Highly rated 4-star point guard JJ Mandaquit has cut his list and will be on campus for his Louisville official visit this weekend. And then we will wrap up the show by recapping the 5-star forward Shelton Henderson's visit. He had some glaring things to say about Pat Kelsey, U of L, and much more that you are going to want to hear. So a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. Recruiting is heating up more and more as we get into the fall. Tyran Stokes, the number one player in the 2026 class, has scheduled his official visit to the University of Louisville. It's something that many Louisville fans have been waiting for, that news to be announced. Now, thankfully, he's going to be making that visit. I believe it's going to be on the weekend of October 4th, which is when Louisville Live will be making a reappearance. That Louisville Live will be at the KFC Yum Center. It's going to be a fantastic time, back at the Yum. So ultimately, I think that this recruitment, and I know that it's a wild thing to say, I had to really ponder the statement before I made it, because I'm not really a person that likes to dive in too much to hot takes. I've said that multiple times on this show. I looked at this from all angles. I looked at past recruitments, ones that would compare to it, like Rajon Rondo, like Sebastian Telfair. I guess you would put Samardo Samuels in that conversation as well. Those before that, understand I'm only 26 years old. Now, I know that might be something that you use to discredit what I'm about to say, but I've even gone back further and looked at it. And look, it's not every day where you see the number one player in the class being from the 502. Tyran Stokes, born and raised in the city of Louisville. He left the city right before his high school career, went to Prolific Prep, played a couple seasons there. He is now transferred to, I think it's Notre Dame High School. I don't think it's Notre Dame Academy. I think it's Notre Dame High School. And that's where he will play his junior season. Now, AJ DeBansa was the number one player in the 2026 class before he reclassified to 2025. Nonetheless, Stokes has been revered as an elite prospect for multiple years now. And he's been a guy that when you talk about Louisville recruiting, you talk about native players that you're looking to see stay in Louisville, or if they left for high school to come back to Louisville. Stokes has been at the forefront of that conversation with guys like Caden Magwood and other players. But overall, the most important recruitment in program history. I'm not sure that there has been this caliber of a recruit from the city of Louisville since, you could say D'Angelo Russell. Russell was a top 5 prospect in the class. And seemingly, some people will say something, some people will say different. It didn't feel like Louisville really was that involved with the D'Angelo Russell recruitment before he left the city to go to Montverde Academy. I know that will anger a lot of people, but what's done is done. That was about a decade ago. Rajon Rondo, highly rated player as well. Tyran Stokes, the number one prospect. And it seems like Louisville is prioritizing the top player in the class, as they should. Ever since he's been hired, Stokes has been pretty vocal that Louisville's put the full court press on him. And he's even sort of admitted like he hasn't really put much emphasis into recruiting at the moment. I mean, he is just now getting to his junior season. But, there's schools like Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, the usual suspects of blue blood programs that are sort of circling the waters in this recruitment, right? For many reasons, this recruitment could be monumental should Louisville land the 5-star player. From the beginning, it's optics. If you're looking to prove, hey, look, this is a blue blood program that's just dormant. Like they haven't had the right coaches at the helm. Once they get the right coach in like Pat Kelsey, they're going to get back to winning and they're going to rise back into that level of prominence. I know that this program really hasn't made its name on recruiting at a really high level. It's more so getting middle-level 4-star guys, high-level 4-star guys, and developing them to be really multiple-year players. But if you want to take that next step as a program, if you want to, say, pull a Michael Jordan Telegraph statement and say, I'm back, this is the way to do it. Because you put the nation, you put the nation on watch. Like you put, I'm stumbling over my words here, but you understand what I'm saying. You're putting the nation on alert would be a better way to phrase that. You look around and it's like, oh, wow, Louisville actually, they went out and got one of these elite, prolific players. You could say, well, this guy was elite or that guy was elite. Louisville hasn't had a guy like that. I mean, if you want to say Samardo Samuels, but this is a player from the city of Louisville. That's what makes this totally different. Because let me introduce the devil's advocate to this, and this might be even more important. If you are the blue blood program that you say you are, letting the number one player in the class that is from your city, not from around the area, from your city, go somewhere else, maybe to another team in the conference, or Kentucky, knock on wood, hopefully that's not the case. If you let that type of a prospect slip away, a once-in-a-generation type prospect from this city, that hurts the optics more than your regular 5-star. Because there are middle-of-the-road programs that are getting players ranked inside of the top 5, top 10, even top 3 to stay home. Do you see a player from Carolina going elsewhere from Duke or Carolina that's ranked in the top 10? Very rarely do you see that. But there are more players that do come from that area that are that highly ranked. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The optics of winning this recruitment sort of kickstarts the program rising back up into prominence. And then there's the snowball effect. You get the number one player in the class to commit, and you could be reaping the benefits for that for half of a decade, potentially even a decade, because if he ends up being the star that many believe he's going to be. Now, I know that not every number one prospect pans out, but if he becomes the level of player or even close to the level of player that people believe he can be, it can do wonders for recruiting, showing that, hey, look, Pat Kelsey and the Louisville Cardinals can get you to the NBA, which has been a knock on the Cardinals for quite some time now. Now, I know that there are other contenders in this recruitment, the blue blood level programs, but you really don't have an excuse because, well, yes, shoe companies, they do play a little bit of a factor still. I'm not going to deny that they don't, or deny that they do, I should say, sorry. But NIL is at the forefront. Louisville is in tune with their NIL, and I know that some people are like, well, we have the money, but you don't want to break the bank for a player unless he's worth it. This is the guy you break the bank for. This is the guy that I'm not saying you say here, you name whatever amount you want. It's basically like that because you can't say, well, this program got him because they outbid or I mean, I get it in a vacuum, like it sounds good. It might not be good for roster management, but from an optics level, the win from the optics level on the court, you get a prospect of this caliber. This is the guy you break the bank for. Number one player from the city of Louisville. When's the last time that that's happened? When's the next time that that's going to be? Simply put, this is the most important recruitment in program history. Some people will bring up other recruitments in the past. I feel like we as a society put so much nostalgia on the past that we sort of overhype, a recruitment or any type of a phenomenon. And I think to play the devil's advocate, to be fair, sometimes, recency bias is one hell of a drug. Not in this case. This is the guy that I'm not going to say that like your program depends on it because that would be foolish. This is the recruitment, the most important in program history. If you don't believe it is, drop in the comments right now who you think that most important recruitment to date was, because I would like to have a conversation. And I'd like to have a healthy debate. So I want to hear what you all have to say. But truthfully, it's the most important in my opinion. But it's not the only recruiting news. We have a lot of 2025 recruiting news. One player that will be on campus this weekend is top 50 prospect JJ Mandaquit. He's a point guard that I definitely could see joining this class. And I think he fits what Pat Kelsey's looking for. Louisville has a serious chance. We'll break it down coming up here in the next segment of Locked On Louisville. Today's episode of the show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Tired after lunch? You're not alone. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5 Hour Energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. Now, I don't start my new job here for just a couple more weeks, but when I was getting to the office at 7 a.m., once you got to 11, I was like, dude, I am just absolutely struggling at this point. Then I introduced 5 Hour Energy, and it's helped me so much more. With zero sugar, a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. And the website has flavors galore, like watermelon, tropical burst, grape berry, and more. There is a flavor for everyone. You need to try them all. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, followed by ourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code, which is locked on CFB, to receive 20% off your order. Now, no, this offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with any other promotions. This code is not good for subscription orders either. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and make the right decision for your daily journey. Cardinal fans, we are so close. College football, it's officially back. It's not too late, however, to catch up before the season kicks off on Saturday. Whether it's SEC, ACC, Big 10, or Big 12, you can get it all from Locked On's stable of college experts by subscribing to the Locked On College Football Podcast. Who has a chance to make the playoff? What teams will cause chaos in their new conferences? Everything you need to know all in one place. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Locked On College Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And as we continue along in this second segment on this Tuesday edition of the show, 2025 four-star prospect JJ Mandaquit will be on campus to start his official visit with the Louisville Cardinals. I would imagine he's going to be at the football game, but he will be on campus for his official this weekend. Now, he recently cut his list to 9. Among those 9, you have BYU, Cal, Hawaii, Creighton, Tennessee, USC, Virginia, and Washington. Mandaquit plays at Utah Prep, which is, I believe, in Murray, Utah, if I am not mistaken there, or Hurricane Utah. I'm not really sure exactly where the whereabouts of that school is, but nonetheless, it is in the state of Utah. There's a lot of West Coast influence with this recruitment, but as shown in the top 9, they still have, some other, or there still is some other East Coast influence with Tennessee, Virginia, Creighton's in that Midwest out there in Omaha, etc. So you're going to have to convince JJ to leave the West Coast. That's been easier said than done with any recruit at any sport. Like, West Coast guys tend to stay on the West Coast. Pretty much the same with the guys from really almost any geographical area. I mean, I think that you could probably make that case for anywhere in the United States. But nonetheless, it is definitely applying to this recruitment. Mandaquit, ironic enough, if you remember, he was the first high school player offered in the 2025 class by Pat Kelsey. And he was offered back on April 12th. So I think that this recruitment means a little bit more because it was like, hey, look, this is the first recruit that Kelsey has made an emphasis to go after. Now, Mandaquit is an extremely decorated high school recruit. He won a gold medal with USA U17 squad. He started at point guard all of those games. He has been a notable name on the recruiting scenes for the past couple seasons. There's a video on YouTube of him going up against Bronny James in Sierra Canyon High School, and he looked really, really solid playing against a very, very good high school team. I believe plays on the Adidas circuit with the Compton Magic and has been a very good player on the Adidas, or on the AAU circuit, I should say. Overall, the 6'1", 190-pound point guard is ranked anywhere from late 40s to, low 40s to, or high 40s to low 70s. On 24/7 Sports, he's 51st. The 24/7 Sports composite has him as 53rd. He's a top 10 player at the position, third best in the state of Utah. I feel like he's fallen down the rankings a little bit. Like, Louisville is the only blue blood program in the top 9. So take that for what you will. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, but I think that it can definitely help Louisville in the long run. Now, I mentioned that Mandaquit does fit Pat Kelsey's offense. I think he fits Pat Kelsey's team in general. A two-way guard that does a great job on and off ball, can score at all 3 levels. Just a really, really, I guess you would say, he's just a really, really intelligent player on the court. Like, makes the extra pass, always does a really good job of just having a good feel of the half court. One thing that I think stands out about Michael Brown Jr., another prospect of 2025, is just his feel for the game in the half court. Watching plays develop, watching what happens on the court develop before it actually does, and having that, overall ability to be one step ahead. I think that Mandaquit possesses that same ability. Mandaquit's game reminds me a ton of like Peyton Pritchard, which Pritchard was ranked maybe a little bit, I think he was ranked a little bit lower than Mandaquit at this point in their career. I know Pritchard had a sort of a quick rise at the very end, but I know Louisville recruited him fairly hard. I know he ultimately ended up at Oregon, but when watching Pritchard's game at the high school level, solid shooter, shifty, creates his own shot, underrated on-ball defender. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a lockdown defender at the college level, but he'll be serviceable, high-effort guy at almost all times, and that 3-level scoring ability is right there too. So this is a pretty interesting one because I know Louisville is right there with many point guards in this class, and they're going to have multiple players in this class, obviously, and there's a lot of basketball to go around. But when you look at some of the guys that they're going after, like Darren Peterson, Michael Brown Jr., Kingston Flemings, some other guys down the list, Davion Hanna, there's many that you can name. Is it going to be a situation of, okay, whoever commits first gets the spot, or I know Louisville is really seriously involved with Michael Brown Jr. Can there be a class with Mandaquit and Brown Jr. together? I guess that's a question that you have to figure out the answer to. And I think that the answer could be yes, because one good thing about great recruiters is you can take multiple players at the position and figure out the fit later, like you did with Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, and DJ Wagner at Kentucky. And I don't really like to bring up Kentucky too much, but that is a great example of how things can coexist. And ultimately, I don't think it should have much effect, because you are going to be losing Chucky Hepburn. You're going to be losing Rain Smith. You could be losing Corin Johnson if he has a great year and goes to the league, so on and so forth. You're going to have multiple point guards on the team. So this is a recruitment that I think Louisville is definitely seriously involved with, and it's one to pay attention to moving forward. Now, Louisville did just have a recent official visit. 5-star forward Shelton Henderson, top 20 prospect. He had some glaring things to say about U of L, and I'm going to explain why his comments should lead you to believe that maybe Louisville has a little bit better of a chance than maybe I ultimately led you to believe. We'll break it down coming up here on the next segment of Locked On Louisville. Now, today's episode of the show also brought to you by Ultimate Football Head Coach. Louisville fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. That's Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your program to glory. You can handle recruiting, hiring the staff, overseeing camps, and handling school scholarships. You control every crucial aspect of the program. And here's what I really love. You're responsible for even offensive plays. You call your own plays, and your strategy will not only determine the success of the season, but shape the program's future. It's completely free. It has no ads and is 100% playable offline. You play on the go. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Louisville fans. Use the code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. And make sure to take advantage of this perk, as it will get your team off to a strong start. Download the game and just visit ultimate-cfb.com. That's ultimate-cfb.com, or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. Before we start the next segment, I also want to take this time to tell you about our friends over at Ibotta. Are you taking that dream vacation this fall, but simply dreading the cost? Well, with Ibotta, you can get cash back on all your purchases, so you can spend more time making memories this fall and less time dreaming about them. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time that you shop. Earn hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. You can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. It's time you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it by using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's IBOTTA, Ibotta, in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. And into the final segment of this Tuesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. A lot of recruiting talk on the basketball side that we've discussed today. To conclude, we're going to recap what Shelton Henderson said following his visit to Louisville. Now, usually when a prospect visits campus, unless they make a commitment rather quickly after, for the most part, it's pretty generic. Like, you can almost like read off of a script what's going to be said. Like, yeah, I like spending time with the coaching staff. I like the bonding with the team. I like the city, so on and so forth. I'm going to read to you what Henderson told Jody Demling at Cardinal Authority, Louisville's 24/7 sports site, because I think that it's a little bit more than your general speak. It's more than your general, statements that are made. He said, they definitely, for the first visit, set the standard really high and showed me a lot of really good things. They made it hard for the other schools that I'm going to visit. They did a great job. the visit was just really good. I really, really enjoyed myself, and they treated me like family. It was good to get to meet and talk with Coach Kelsey and the other coaches. I got to hang out with the players. I really liked it there a lot. I feel like they really enjoyed it too. They had a good time up there, and they see that would be a really good place for me. The facilities really impressed me. The dorms are great, and you are 2 steps away from the gym, so that's nice. The guys are always together, and they really like each other. I liked being able to hang out with the guys and see what it was like. He goes on to say, Coach Kelsey's really genuine, and he says what he means. I really liked watching his energy in practice, end quote. Now, some will say, well, that's still kind of generic, and I won't necessarily disagree to an extent, but I still think that it's almost like when it's just intuition here that feels like more than just generic recruit speak. So will Louisville have a better chance in this recruitment that I maybe led you all on to believe? I think so. I maybe discounted that relationship that he had with assistant coach Ronnie Hamilton that he formed at LSU. Henderson still will schedule the official visit for Texas in late September, Duke in early October. The top 20 prospect is perhaps one of the highest floors in the class. He averaged 22 points, about 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 1.5 blocks per game as a junior at Bel Air High School. That's in that southwest corridor. I believe it's in Harris County, right outside of Houston. But still in a very, very good area for talent. So it's still going to be an uphill recruitment with Texas and Duke, I think, are the other 2 teams. I feel like Louisville, honestly, is right there in the top 4. But where they're at, that's still to be determined. I think you need to get him on campus one more time before he makes that official official commitment. Ultimately, Duke, if they prioritize him, it's going to be really, really tough. That's going to be the one that I'm kind of struggling with the most, is because usually, post 2015, whoever Duke wants, Duke usually gets. The only hope is that they recruit over him, right? That's the only hope that you have at the current moment. Right now, they don't have a commitment, and that's kind of the scary part of this, is that they could definitely prioritize him. You look at who they're going after in the 2025 class. There's Cam Boozer, or there's both of the Boozer brothers. Nate Ament is at the small forward spot. Koa Pete, power forward, but still ranked a little bit over Shelton Henderson. It feels like right now Duke is the team to beat, but Louisville is at least right there. They're at least giving him something to think about. I think that Texas and Houston are going to have that Lone Star State appeal, keeping him in state. So I think that this visit was everything you could have realistically hoped for. It's not as good of a post-visit commitment, but it is still good feedback. The only hope you have is that he leaves Texas and Houston and Duke without making a commitment, and Louisville was able to get another shot at him here in the next couple of months. But a lot of great recruiting stuff happening this fall. Louisville's just waiting for that first commit in the 2025 class, and we'll cover that when it happens. That is going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here coming up very